Thank you, Ananda. Namaskar and very good afternoon to you all. It's always a pleasure to be here with Professor Chatterjee. I have been associated with this, I don't say exactly this workshop, but this kind of program in this particular institute for several years down the line. And it's a great pleasure for me to see the way it's evolving over the years. Before I go to my topic, I'd just like to spend 2-3 minutes about some associated issues. First of all, today I'm feeling quite nostalgic about one event. I think about, for those who may not be knowing, I was a faculty of Jadavpur University. Calcutta University is in my blood, and I stay in BE College campus. And of course, I was in NIT, IIT IIM Calcutta, and IIT Hawaii. About 20 years down the line, I still remember that day when we mean Professor P.K. Das, Professor Sajal Das, Professor Sukumar Ghosh of Iowa University, and myself were sitting in the office chamber of one of our colleagues, Professor Chandan Majumdar, and we were discussing, in Calcutta we have so many islands of research. Why don't we try to develop a network? And that led to national workshop in distributed system, IWDS. And only last week, I understand, it had 19th edition in IIT BHU. When you see whatever you had planned had grown to that level, obviously that gives you a huge amount of satisfaction. I do believe now last 20 years means next 10 years, because the way things are getting shorter. Today I will discuss my talk in that perspective, hoping that 10 years down the line we'll have another IWDCN in the making. Now, one characteristic I always feel, that we have so many workshops, conferences everywhere, but they do not have any signature. Any conference or workshop, for its sustainability, should have one signature. Today I'd like to share with you at least one of my views which could be considered as a signature of this particular workshop, based on which it can evolve over next 10 years. So this is the background of today's talk, where I will present more questions than answers, because I expect this will lead to several dimensions of potential research activities, and our students, colleagues, junior faculty members, they will have food for thought for research in the near future. So this is the prelude. Again, Alap is the name of the workshop, so it's not out of context to start with this prelude. And then again, for those who have listened to me earlier, I generally start with my talk with 1 or 2 anecdotes. So here again, I start with 3 small anecdotes. Another incident, I remember exactly the date, 2nd November 1982. The day I joined M.N. Dastur and Company, after graduating from Calcutta University. That day, Dr. M.N. Dastur himself, a great academician, PhD from a big university from US, metallurgist, he called me and he said, Swapal, I understand that in academics for doing PhD, you have to spend 2 years to find a problem. I said, yes, that's what I heard, but I didn't know PhD at that time. Then he said that our country is so comfortable that you need 2 years to find a problem. We don't have any problem. I said, I don't know, because I didn't know PhD at that time. But it's true. Then he said that you need 2 years to solve a problem, get a problem, and then another 3 years to solve that problem. But then, why do you need to solve that problem? The problem which could exist for 50 years, that can easily exist for another 50 years. So what is the necessity of that? I don't have the answer to that question even today. Sometimes, in a much serious note, sometimes I feel that probably for those who are in the public sector institutes, we are using taxpayers' money for coming up with publications which are required only for our own promotion, which do not need anything else. That really hurts me to some extent. Do we have that kind of luxury, that using taxpayers' money for own promotion, considering the amount of contribution, rather negation of that, we have contributed to creation of knowledge over the last 30 or 40 years. Next one is, then Dr. Dastur said, I think just 2 minutes because this will set the tune. Then my first assignment was to develop a part CPM software. Lots of graph analysis and all those, including finding the cycle and all those. So I told, sir, I need 6 months to solve it. He said, no, you can't do it in, you can't take more than 15 days. You have to do it in 15 days. That's the requirement. I said, fine. But then I said, I don't guarantee efficiency. He said, we don't need efficiency. That computer will take care of. What computer? That day it was PDP 1124. But by that time it was quite good. So I came up with a solution which really worked. Tested it with about 100 activities. And then it was put to use for their Libya project, which had about 5,000 activities. And then, when loaded in the machine, it took 18 hours to solve. And he was furious, but he cannot say anything because he said that he is not bothered about efficiency. Computer will take care of that efficiency. And then, if there is a minor change it and again another 18 hours. Then he said, okay, you computer scientist, you need efficiency also. I said, yes, we have to take care of efficiency. So it took more than 6 months to solve that problem, and it could be solved in maybe 1 hour or whatever like that. And the third anecdote, which I saw in Facebook about a week back, MIT has 7 Turing laureates in computer science. They have written an open letter to their president saying that time has come to have an independent school of computing in MIT. Gone are the days when scientists and engineers, they used to quarrel with each other as if they belong to different domains. Time has come that science and computing, they have to work together. So this sets the tone. Now, so what is the topic? Design of computationally feasible, good enough problem-solving techniques for socio-economic systems, a data-driven approach. I'll give an example. We all know that chessboard problem is extremely hard to solve. It takes infeasible amount of time. So whatever software we make, someday, somewhere, some grandmaster can beat it. Of course, if the computer is bigger, faster, more space, it will be more harder to beat it. But if we consider a scenario where it's a competition of 100 keys and we have to filter it out, then the same problem, changing some parameters, we can tailor it to such an extent that we can shortlist a subset of that to take it to the next level. And then we can take it to the higher level. So what I am saying, that a problem which is conclusively known to be in the NP set, depending on the requirement, depending on the specific purpose, still we can have a good enough solution. We do not need optimality. We want to solve a particular problem. We are not bothered whether it is optimal or not. It should be good enough. Good enough solution has to be computationally feasible, and naturally that would be driven by data. That would be driven by data. So in this background, this is so what is a traditional system design concept? You all know that. Basically, we have to go from feasibility study to implementation. Initial stages are highly informal and the final stages have to be formal. Otherwise, we cannot get machine executable code. So the conventional approach, algorithms are developed to solve a problem. Design of algorithms independent of input data. This is important. When we are told to write a routine for matrix inversion, we generally do not ask about the data which is expected to be in the matrix. Of course, for more efficiency, sometimes we require a computer science student, but that's for optimizing storage space, maybe computation time, but that has got nothing to do with the results we are expected to get out of the algorithm. So efficiency with respect to time or not, computationally feasible or not, memory management and optimality. So this is a traditional system. Again, when you write an algorithm, generally we are not bothered about the data for its effectiveness. Of course, we sometimes need it for optimization of storage and time. A simple example, if we have x plus y by z, we can say that yes, it's data dependent. If z is close to 0, we are going to get wrong result. Yes, it's data dependence. But even then, it is not context sensitive. It does not depend on where this particular expression appears in our code or in the algorithm. It will always be problematic. The solution does not change with context. So first of all, it is not dependent on data. Secondly, even if it is dependent on data, it is not dependent on the context. That is very important. Then, whatever system we do, we have to come up with some technique to test the system. Again, used in many books. So one of the major challenges of testing any software product happens to be where we have a finite input set, but the results of the testing we claim to be valid for an infinite input set. That is the problem. Then we try to fragment the input set in such a way that even if we take finite input set for testing, formally we can say that our result will be valid for infinite input set. So tested for finite set of data, but it's valid for infinite set. And then the traditional systems, generally they have all kinds of standard properties, commutative, transitive, reflexive, whatever. Next step, for some algorithms which we know computational to be very hard, we take help of approximation algorithms. But again, remember, we use approximation algorithms for shortening the time. But it again does not depend on our two basic premises, the data as well as context where the data is being used. Now, today's topic. It is accepted all over the world now. Next 10 years, we are going to see the convergence of social science, life science, and computing science with technology as the driving force. So far we were discussing problems which are predominantly from science and technology, which have very much formal mechanism already established. But now our problem itself is not formally stated. One example. Suppose I have some fever. I go to a doctor. Doctor prescribes some medicine and says that you will be cured in 36 hours. If you are cured in 35 hours or 37 hours, are you bothered? Of course not. Can you ask the doctor to draw a curve how your temperature will fall over the next 36 hours? No. On the other hand, you send a satellite from here to Mars, every microsecond is programmed. So naturally, the kind of algorithms which would be required to solve that satellite problem will not suffice to solve the problem where it cannot be well defined, and we are not bothered also about complete optimality. So there is a paradigm shift in terms of the process, in terms of the metrics, in terms of the approach of designing algorithms. So, since life science is beyond my purview, I am not familiar with life science at all. But yeah, social science, we are in a society. So I will discuss today's talk in the context of some examples in socio-economic system. And again, behavior is data dependent. Just compare with what we discussed about technology-driven algorithms. If I have a scenario where X loves Y, Y loves Z, does it mean X loves Z? But you cannot say no also. Then you may say that let me know what X, Y, Z are, what are the instances, then I can say whether it's correct or not. Compare with matrix inversion. There you want to ask for the data and then say whether my algorithm will work or not. Here the algorithm will not work unless you know the data. Next step is, even if you know the instances of X, Y and Z, on some context it may be true, in some other context it may not be, true. So I reiterate, there is a application specific solution. The solution has to be application specific, and we are very proud of being a software engineer at this stage, because scientists did not consider us scientists, engineers so far. But we always keep on saying that unless you involve customers, end users, right at the design phase, right at the implementation phase, you cannot come up with a perfect or good enough solution. So now the time has come where the customer, the domain users, domain experts, they have to be involved in the process of system design also, just not at the feasibility or requirements or functional specification stage. So what are the characteristics? User-centric, data-intensive, good enough solution, applicable vertically, applicable horizontally. Human beings are hardly bothered about optimality. We are bothered about satisfiability. And any good enough solution is good enough to provide satisfiability. If we ask, what do you feel is the optimum temperature of this room? Will you say 25.576 degrees? Was not. You will say 25 or 26. You won't be bothered if it's 24 or 27. Even then, if you are interested in the talk, you may relax there also. So again, satisfiability, good enough solution. And it has to be applicable vertically and horizontally. General, again, just see the problems. We talk about dengue prediction, drug addict prevention, etc., etc. How do we make the sample for testing? Just think of our solution for finding square roots. We can partition the entire input set, take representative from each of the subset and make it a complete input set. For sample selection, for dengue prediction, can we partition the population of Calcutta just like that and claim formally that whatever we come up would be valid for an infinite set? Of course not. But at the same time, since this is not, there is no formal model. Of course, statisticians, they have some models, but those on basis on statistics. But what is absolutely imperative, that you need to have domain experts in finding the data set, in developing the algorithm. So, and generalization is also not possible. So, this is what algorithms are developed to solve a user specific requirement, focus on user satisfiability. Now I will straight away discuss. As I said, I would possibly present more problems than answers. We are very fond of graphs, all of us. So whatever it's like, in Bengali, wherever we find some problem, we try to convert it to a graph. Then we feel as if a bit comfortable. So I like to discuss some of the problems which in socio-economic context how do we move from our theoretical formulations to a feasible, applicable solution when ideal solving methods cannot be applied to real life problems and having limited resources. So that is the key. Let us consider one problem. Everybody is now in a social network. sometimes we feel as if something is cooking somewhere, as if some inside that a few people are probably trying to do some mischief. So how do we identify that? Or try to identify that? So let's straight away get down to the equivalent graph problem. We take recourse to max click problem. You must be familiar, but just for what is a max click? A click is a graph in a subgraph of vertices where any two are adjacent. Okay, let's go down to the. So a click is maximal if a complete subgraph within the graph has maximum number of nodes. So what is the max click problem? To find a maximum click of a given graph or to find a complete subgraph or maximum cardinality in a general graph. So what is our problem? If we go back to social network, try to find out max click. What does it mean? The members in that max click, they have communicated, each one has communicated to all others in last 1 week or so. We can expect that something is cooking there. So this is directly mappable to max click problem. So these are the definitions of max click. I am not going into the maths here. I will give you the example. Let's go to the example. This is the small graph. So this is the max click. But we all know max click is a computationally very hard problem. It will take, and if we talk of billions of nodes, it will take almost infeasible amount of time to solve it. But what is the real problem? Are we really bothered about the max click? Even 80% of the max click is fine. Probably there are 100 persons there. Even if we get 80, we are okay with that. So we are not bothered about finding the exact max click. Even some solution close to a max click will help us in starting the process and then gradually build on the system. But then in the background, since we know the static profile of each node, we may add some constraints that yes, we will leave out 20 nodes, but we cannot leave out a node depending on the nationality of that node, depending on some other parameters of the node. So traditionally max click problem, hundreds of years they are existing. We are taking the concept of max click problem, but since this is practically infeasible to solve it with billions of nodes, depending on our requirements, we tailor it to whatever we require. Now this is max click with 4 nodes. This is max 2 click with 2 nodes. That means we are not bothered with full max click. So I leave it to the house for the students. I have given you one example. There could be many other examples depending on your requirement, depending on the domain experts' views. You try to find out what are the relaxations, what are the alterations which you can make without affecting the final outcome. We are running late, so I will take much time. That's another problem. Suppose we have Calcutta Road network we want to install some police outpost. But we have some limitations. We want to have minimum number of outposts with maximum number of reachability. Basically, this is, for that, let us consider vertex cover problem. What is the vertex cover problem? Again, you all know, but for those, a subset of vertices, so that for every edge in the original graph, at least one end will be in that vertex. So this is a vertex cover problem. Again, this is computationally very hard. And with large number of nodes and edges, this will not be feasible. So what do we do now? Okay. We can relax. Okay, give us an example. This is a graph. This is a vertex cover. What does it mean? These nodes are sufficient in that if we put police outposts in these nodes, they can watch all the roads. But we can relax it a bit to distance cover, where, because we do not have, probably our budget constraint is there, we cannot have that many points. So then we relax to the extent any node will be at most 2 nodes away from my solution. Node E, directly not reachable from A, but at most 1 node away. So again, we are relaxing depending on the requirement, and our basic premise, algorithm development is data dependent and context sensitive. Another example. Again, I am just giving one representative example, as I said, just to open up a window where you can have n number of ideas or problems to solve. Smart waste management. What is that? We'll come to that example later. We all know traveling salesman problem. Set of nodes, all of them have to be covered. I'm not giving a formal definition. Let's come to the example. Again, this is a road network. These are the dustbins. It's job of the municipality to collect whenever the bin is full, all the bins, and drop it somewhere. All the bins are not expected to be full at the same time. The process we follow, everything is cleaned in the morning, afternoon, or once a week. This is not correct. So today we can have sensor-driven system whereby from some central location it can be known which bins have got filled up. So collect all those bins and then drop it off. Drop it off. This is traveling sensor problem. And again, a little bit of variation. You have to collect and finally drop it off. So red path is optimal, but covers no drop-off point. So now you try to develop an algorithm where it's a traveling sensor problem, but you have to end with the drop-off point. Another variation, some of the bins could be in front of some minister. It has to be cleaned in any way, whether it's filled or not. So again, traveling sensor problem, whenever you clean it up, you must ensure that that is also taken off. Variation in traveling sensor problem. So these problems are existing, or these problem solving techniques are existing for hundreds of years. But now we are talking in the context of socio-economic requirements, whereby it is becoming very relevant now. Relaxation, I have already said. Another problem, bipartite graph. Very common example discussed in the class is now matchmaking. You have a set of boys and you have a set of girls. When you say X matches with Y, can you claim that this is the best match? Of course not. You are not bothered also, so long as you get good enough solution. Here we come up with an example. Say we have a retail chain or retail shop where we have customers and products. From here we see that A is connected to both 1, 2 and 3, B is connected to 1, 2 and 3. C is also connected to 1 and 2, but not with 3. Probably it makes sense for a salesperson who is selling the product 3 to approach C. That does not mean that she will be able to sell, but the probability of it being sold is much higher. And don't forget, customers are in the social network. We may find out in the background, we may find out what are the locations of A, B and C. We may see that probably all 3 of them are residing in the same flat, same complex, same economic background, or they are the faculty of the same institute. So you have some background information also. So you have data mining on one side, data mining algorithms, social network oriented algorithms on the other side, and third dimension is big data handling. And finally you come up with algorithms to solve the problem. And again you need very high level of mathematical acumen even to solve that problem. It doesn't mean that you are working like a technician. It's not that. It needs lots of mathematical analysis to solve that. Only thing is, it's different from what we meant by analysis of algorithm so far. When we used to teach analysis algorithms, we did not consider this dimension in mind while taking the classes. So, and since I think this is very much relevant because your topic is algorithms and application. So, in this context also. So, this is recommended. So, I will conclude. Traditional systems and social systems were discussed. Technological advancements and improved quality of life, that's the ultimate objective. Improved memory size and computation capacity. A new computational paradigm, user-oriented approach. Constraints are relaxed. Provide a satisfiable, good enough solution. And there is another dimension, I did not mention it here. For those who like us who are in the academic field, we always look for opportunities of getting funding from funding agencies. At least in India, with schemes like Smart City and all those, lots of funding are there for the taking, provided we can come up with some really interesting problems to improve quality of life of a city or a village using whatever knowledge we have. So these are some of the references and these are some of our recent publications, but all those are from NIT Surathkal. I was in NIT Surathkal. So these are only some of the publications we had recently. Mainly this handbook would be quite interesting if you want to read further on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Professor B.N. Chatterjee to kindly present a small token of appreciation, respect and gratitude on our behalf.
Sir, सामने. Sir, सामने.
Department of CSE is privileged and honored to acknowledge the far-reaching contribution of Professor Swapon Bhattacharya in the field of science, technology and education, and enriching us through his vast knowledge and experience as the keynote speaker on this day of January 11, 2018 in the Conference of Algorithms and Applications.